don't know. He never said. He just sent it to me with that specific timestamp. So, we have John for America in here. So we'll.
Oh, has he been? How long has he been waiting for us?
I don't know. I've been popping back and forth to see if he actually joined, and he hasn't been. So it hasn't been too long.
Okay.
Hello there, John.
Hello, hello, welcome. And I thank you for welcoming me here.
Yeah. Welcome to the chat.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
would have to say, just so you know, I'm more on like the believer. I'm more on the opposite spectrum of y'all's beliefs when it comes to this
So
kind of
you're a
stuff.
theist.
Yeah.
Okay. So which religion do you
I
identify
don't
with?
I don't I don't subscribe to any religion. I think it's really religion's made to control people. But I definitely there's a spiritual aspect to things.
Can I ask you to give us a brief synopsis as to like what you believe as a worldview?
Uh, what I believe is a worldview. That's kind of I don't know. That sounds real broad. Like when it comes to
It is. That's. I'm saying just like a general overview of what your belief system is.
what, what I believe in, uh, that's. I mean, I believe that that we can't know everything, and I think believing in something itself, you don't necessarily need to know. You don't need to know. That's the difference from believing and knowing. One is you have faith, and it's not really uh founded specifically in like knowing something. It's something you kind of have faith and believe in it or feel is true. I think belief is the first step to knowing. You can't believe something your whole life. You first have to kind of believe it to be true, and then you got to know it to be true. So I
So
mean,
basically, you have to be convinced by something is true before you can believe it. Yeah, I agree with that.
but a worldview, I don't know. You got to ask me some more questions because what's my worldview? That's I mean, I am like I do subscribe to like the Native American kind of belief system. Like I do believe in I okay, I believe that I would have to say from doing drugs, I've come to the understanding that everything is connected. Consciousness consciousness is directly connected to the smallest form of energy that makes up matter, and in that way, we're all connected consciously
You
to
were
So
everything.
convinced.
you don't see you don't see like a specific god. You see just kind of the universe as itself, really, and
I
everything is involved in the universe.
I mean, I have remembrances of what they call, heaven, and there are some descriptions that are kind of accurate when it comes to like a big old guy in a white robe with the sun, his face shining brighter than the sky, brighter than
Hmm.
the sun. That's definitely an accurate depiction of what I saw as whatever the god figure is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But that was during an experience under.
No, no, that had nothing to do. That was with my brother telling me his dream that he had of heaven, and while he was telling me, I started to remember. It was like memories. It was bringing back memories. I started to know things that he was gonna say before he said them, and while he was saying them, it was just bringing back like a vivid picture, like a memory, and that's all I can say. That at that time, I wasn't doing any drugs, but I did have an experience where yeah, I understood that we're connected to everything consciously, and everything has consciousness. Every form of matter is connected to consciousness. But yeah,
But you take that
that's
on faith rather than evidence, just
I
based
mean,
off of
I take that based off of what I have experienced.
that everything has consciousness.
Yeah, I literally Have you ever had a lucid dream where you know you're dreaming and you can control every aspect of your dream,
Hmm.
the world you're in?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of like that. It's hard to explain. Like there's some experiences. I've had many lucid dreams, and this thing I experienced, it was just a knowing. Like it's hard to explain how you can just know something. I don't really know.
How can you
I can't
separate?
explain it.
How can you separate a hallucination from the reality of the world, though? That's my question.
That's a good question, because when you were talking about everything's just how do you separate it? You just gotta. I think we most. I don't know how you could separate. You're asking me how do I make somebody not crazy, or
No,
I don't
no. How
know.
do you tell the okay? So you're experiencing what you're experiencing, right?
Yeah, how do I
How
know
do
it's
you
not?
tell the difference between oh, this is my brain having an hallucination versus oh, this is actually reality?
Huh. I think as a hallucination is more like you just see things. Like hallucination is a visual
It can be visual, it can be auditory, it can be feelings, it can be a lot of things.
you hallucinate feelings. I never heard of that.
Yep,
Your
I've done it before.
emotions,
Yep, emotions.
by taking drugs or even by just having a hallucination in and of itself, your emotional state is subject to change to some degree. It's just
Well,
something
that's
that's
true.
bound to happen.
Yeah, that's true. With any, I mean, when you were saying about the brain chemicals, I was like, yeah, the reason you're thinking the way you're thinking right now is because you have a certain brain chemistry, chemical, you know, a
When
certain brain chemical chemistry. I can't say it the right way. I don't know the right terminology.
it's all good. When you're throwing more chemicals into your already overabundance of weird chemicals going on in your brain, it throws off the balance. It makes you see things that aren't there. It makes you hear things that aren't there. It makes your understanding of the world around you just a little different than what the
How do you know
reality
they're not
is.
there? How do you know they're not there? Because we could just be becoming aware of it, but for some reason, even though other people are having the same exact experiences without even being aware of each other, you're saying it's just like a
Can I
coincidence
can I
or
put my hand out and touch it?
such what?
The hallucination that I'm seeing in front of me. Can I put my hand out and touch it? Outside of the
No,
hallucination, is there anyone else in the environment where I'm experiencing that hallucination that can interact with that hallucination?
no, it's like an idea. You know,
Hold
you
on.
can't touch an
But it's
idea.
Can
an individual experience though. I think
right.
that's kind of what you're going for.
And
Yeah.
if you are in a hallucination, are you
I'll be right
able to
back.
change the circumstances of said hallucination?
Uh, I just depends. Some people aren't able to have control over their brain and control what's happening. Some people can. So it just depends on the person, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, every person is going to have a different kind of experience and a different level of experience, right?
Yeah.
And not every single person who trips on various drugs has the exact same experience as the next person. They might have similar experiences in some circumstances, especially if they have a preconceived notion of what the experience is going to be like before they take the drug. So if their best friend or someone that they know comes up and is like, "Hey man, I tried this ayahuasca yesterday and I fucking met God," and they give a
Hmm.
whole description of what that experience was like, and his buddy goes and takes ayahuasca, what do you think he's going to feel and experience? What do you think he's going to see?
Yeah, I get your point. I've had this conversation with relatives, and they said similar things.
Yep, the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
Again, I would go back to pointing at both that and also like again Project MK Ultra.
Well, yeah, definitely the government has done things to, I mean, manipulate the masses, but these drugs have been around way longer than the
Oh
government.
yeah, definitely. But that doesn't mean that the government hasn't utilized it to do it to people to see the result.
And again, you can look at how these drugs have been used throughout history to motivate people to do some really crazy shit in a firm belief of a certain person.
Oh,
I
Like
don't know what you're referring to.
like cults, like cult leaders drugging their following.
Oh yeah, well yeah, drugs can make you highly suggestible. But I mean,
Yeah.
we're highly suggestible beings already. What was I gonna say? I'm not promoting to do drugs. I'm just saying. Have you heard of salvia divinorum?
yes, it's actually legal where I am.
Yeah,
Salvia?
it's illegal. Salvia divinorum. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the only drugs known to man that actually doesn't get everyone high. Like some people can
Oh,
do it.
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, some people could do it and it has no effect on them whatsoever. Other
But
people
then
do it.
I've seen the extreme where people have taken it and they just go absolutely nuts.
Well, yeah, that's
You
what
know,
I'm
like
saying.
that's freaky.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. How does that work? Why is it that some people they take one hit, they say they become the whole universe, and they
Listen,
go
bro,
off into
there's
this
like
crazy trip?
1% of the population can get a high off of catnip.
Is that true?
Yeah, I'm not even kidding you. It's a real statistic.
So
Wow,
you know,
that's
well, you know why that is, right?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay, well, I'll let you know. It's because of your genetic code. Some people's genetic codes are able to take in certain chemicals, others aren't.
yeah, that's very true.
So that's all I'm
Your
saying.
body
Certain people,
metabolizes things differently.
yeah. And what is code?
It's
What
your
is genetic?
receptors, isn't it?
What is
Hmm.
genetic code? It's information. Like literally, these hallucinations that that we see that are able to be sane because, like you said, some people they take the drugs and they go crazy, like they go insane instead of going more sane.
Hmm.
Like the people who are able to stay sane and they take these drugs, we have the same experiences and we come to the same conclusions.
Ah,
Uh,
I don't believe that that's true
that's fine.
because
You
I
don't
know
have to believe that. I'm just
I
telling you what we experience from our perspective, but you don't
yeah.
have to believe. That's the whole thing.
Well,
It's
here's the
about
thing:
a
are you
believing.
when you're taking these drugs? What kind of
Uh-huh.
environment are you in?
Uh, I like to go outside or just turn off the TV and turn off everything because the
Right,
phones and stuff feel like they're a trap.
but
Technology.
you kind of pre-expose yourself as a spiritual when you're taking this drug. It's more of a spiritual journey for you, correct?
I mean, I go to work. I'll go to work and I like to do them like what is it called? Vitamins. You just wake up, take one, start cooking. I do it like if it's just an everyday thing.
But I'm
I'll go
saying
to work. I'll go to work on
when
mushrooms.
you have your hallucinogen, like when you have the heavy hallucinations where you interacted with some kind of deity.
No, there was no. Well, I felt like there were just remembrances. Like I said, like there's these words and these phrases and situations that happen, and then they just replay in my mind as a sequence, a series of events that all
Hmm.
coincide with each other and have like a deep meaning that
Hmm.
I never really catch until I don't know what it is that
So,
just reminds me.
do you believe in past lives then?
Yeah, I believe it's possible. I mean, yeah, I definitely believe. I've heard stories. There's accounts, of people, kids saying they're from other
Yeah, I've heard a
villages.
lot of interesting stories too. I don't really know either way with past experiences because I've done past life regression before and I've had some very intense things that I assumed were memories because that's what I was told they were.
Yeah,
I don't know it.
hypnosis.
I
Yeah, is
don't
a
know if
crazy
they were
thing.
actually that. Um,
Yeah,
but that's something that I would definitely like to learn more about because there are a lot of interesting cases. Like, how do you explain a 4-year-old kid remembering exactly where he lived and what his parents were and how he died? And,
and having the same
like,
scar and stuff where the other guy
yeah. So,
died.
like,
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I don't have an explanation for that.
Yeah, so I've heard of encounters and situations. I never had a personal experience, but if I hear something like that, I am a skeptic when it comes to things, but I am willing to be open to be like, okay, that's a possibility. I've heard so many people say it. One thing that I can say is sounds kind of crazy that people made whatever we want to call like historical records for the skulls, the crystal skulls in like uh Mexico. There's supposed to be like so many crystal skulls.
Hmm.
For some
Those are
reason,
found
Oh
out.
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, that
Weren't
sounds like
those
it.
found out to be fake?
Well, it sounds fake. That's what I'm saying. That just seems like something that would be fake for some reason.
I
But
mean, like the actual crystal skulls themselves, the ones that were supposedly found, were found out later that they were like not actually real. They weren't
I
historically real.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
well, yeah, for me, when it comes to that, I would have to be like, yeah, I don't know. That could easily be, any archaeologist could just go there and be like, oh,
That
I
could be,
found it.
yeah, it could be easily fabricated.
Yeah, but when it comes to like all throughout the centuries, generations of people saying they remember these things and all over the world, there's accounts of this stuff happening. It's hard to be like they're all lying. They're all just hallucinating. They're all just don't know what they're talking about. So,
Yeah, I don't think necessarily that people are lying. I mean, it's definitely a possibility, and I don't doubt that the people are experiencing what they're experiencing. It's just whether how are we going to prove that what they're experiencing was actually reality? You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Well, when it comes to reality, there's the metaphysical reality and then there's the physical reality. Because what's real to one person really and can not be real to another when it comes to like a metaphysical type of experience. Like I could have an idea in my mind
Right,
that somebody can't even comprehend or something, and it's
right,
real to me. But
right. We were having a similar conversation about this yesterday in Ger's stream, actually, about the whole brain in a jar concept. Like, how do we know we're not just a simple brain in a jar, and everything that we conceive as reality is not actually reality?
I
Hey,
mean, well, we're
Richard.
getting close to making, virtual reality, and if neural net does its thing, I mean, we can definitely grow our brains in the circuit boards and have
Hmm.
a lot of, basically the same thing. But yeah, it would
Yeah.
be hard to determine that if we're in it right now. How would we even know? Like, try to tell
Yeah.
people.
Exactly. And there's no way, and like, honestly, in the end, what difference does it really make? You know what I
There's
mean?
a
Well, if there's a way
look
to
up,
escape it, it
look up.
does matter.
You guys
That's true.
both. You need to look up basilisk theory.
Basculus?
Is that the
Basilisk
giant
theory.
snake
Yes.
eating its tail?
Well, yes, sort of, but the concept is there is a computer system that will have all of humanity's uh, consciousness downloaded on it, and is basically running a simulation of our existence at this point, right? If it
Hmm.
does not exist, it will exist at some point. We are going to create it. That, or we are already in the simulation.
Is that the end of it? Is that the end of the theory?
That's basically the theory. I mean,
There's no like Matrix. There's no one Neo guy who has
no,
like ultimate power or anything.
no,
No.
Is it
unfortunately.
is it Roko's basilisk? Basilisk?
You believe? Yes, yes.
Okay, because it says it's a thought experiment that takes the notion of world-ending artificial intelligence to a new extreme.
Something
Um,
like that.
yeah, I'm trying to pull up this article here. An
It's
unknown goal system that, when implemented in a superintelligence, reliably leads to the preservation of humans and whatever it is we value.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard of that one.
Huh.
That must be a new one because I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I haven't heard it before either,
it's
but it looks
it's
interesting.
it's old. It's
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's kind of old.
Well, it says 2010.
Yeah, that's not that old. That's new.
it's kind of old.
If you're like at least 30 years old, 10 years is goes by fast.
I guess.
Let's
Uh,
see what Richard here says. My opinion: drugs may pull the stick out of your butt, and once you do, there is no need for them. I experience every sales pitch for halogenates without
Hallucinogenics.
any, yep, without anything besides my brain. Well, I mean, we were talking about that earlier, right? Like, your brain kind of hallucinates on its own already, in the forms of like things like daydreams and what at night when you're sleeping and you're dreaming. And it seems like when you take things like psilocybin and LSD and things that kind of like enhance those already, hallucinogens that you already have.
Like, for example, John, I don't know if you were listening earlier in our conversation, but I've had the God experience on drugs before, but
what drug was it?
both synthetic marijuana once, K2, and also LSD.
You had the God experience on K2. What the heck?
Oh
How
yeah, oh
what was
yeah,
He
that like?
oh
he
yeah.
honestly, like, he called me after he had that experience, and he actually was like, he was terrified at the time and thought he actually died.
It was one
Yeah,
of the
me
most.
too. I thought I went to hell when I did
Yeah,
that stuff.
I I I thought I went through the river Styx. I still saw like static in front of my eyes for it felt like a eternity.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that
that I
happened.
climbed up out of the river Styx and into existence again. And yeah, I wrote up a
That was your
whole.
God experience? That
That
sounds more
was
like a hell experience.
it was kind of like a hell experience. There was
Yeah.
there was a deity towards the end that like picked me up and looked at me and then like threw me back into my body, and then I very like suddenly jolted back into life and existence in the reality of
Okay.
Earth, and I was like,
From
oh shit.
from my understanding, the God experience is where you yourself become the God deity.
Yeah, that's not what I felt.
Yeah. When I
No,
did it,
I had a discussion with God once though.
my God experience, I wasn't God because I could feel like an entity behind me that was bigger than me, so I knew that I wasn't God, but I definitely became like the universe. There's like a universal body that it
So
looks basically like the physical body, but it it's outlined in the universe.
So, do
And
you believe in universal consciousness? You believe that all consciousness as a whole was once one being or one?
I think it's still one being right now.
Okay, and that is still just interacting and flowing with it. I
Yeah,
can
and
kind of get that. I kind of get that. I can kind of understand where you're coming from with that. I still
yeah,
don't
and we're
believe
the
that's.
subconscious. Like
I
we think we're the conscious. We're the conscious, but we're actually sub. There's so much we don't know about reality,
Hmm.
our consciousness.
well, we don't even know what consciousness is. We don't know if
Exactly,
it's.
and we call our subconscious the subconscious. When
So I have another question for you, John.
mm,
If you were given the opportunity to download your
no, I wouldn't do it.
consciousness, you wouldn't do it. Oh,
No,
damn.
why would I do that?
Ah, god damn it.
Why would you expect me to say yes if I'm already downloaded in a machine already?
Oh, I don't. Do you actually believe that you're downloaded in a machine already?
This body we're in is it's a meat machine. What are you talking about?
Well, he's comparing the two. He's like saying that the universe being all connected and sharing a consciousness is already kind of like the machine that you're describing, just more organic.
Yeah.
Eh.
Yeah, people like to be more like it's gonna be machines. There's always the what is that? Those people that like to they like to get the natural, and then there's always those that are going to try to simulate or recreate, the natural.
Hmm.
But the natural is always better than the recreation sometimes,
Hmm.
unless it's like glow in the dark, pigments.
Well, frankly, it wouldn't matter anyways. If you tried to download your consciousness into a machine, I don't think it would actually be you anyways. If
Well, I
if
could tell you
you're
how we could do it. I mean, I'm against it, but I could tell you how we can do it because it's gonna happen anyways. I could just be the one
it's
that
not
takes credit
it
for it.
it wouldn't. The thing is,
Why wouldn't it be
yep,
you?
because it wouldn't be.
Because what?
Your brain is built out of your experiences and your
Hmm.
life and your
So,
knowledge.
so why can't we get the uh, brain cells and grow them on a petri dish, and not a petri dish, a circuit board? That then would that be your actual consciousness? It's your actual brain controlling the circuit board.
That's an interesting thought though,
That
to
that's
use
a
the actual. But then you have to think though, with it being organic,
it wouldn't.
how do you keep those brain cells alive?
Well,
I'm
the
talking if
research,
we're
this is research that's already being done. If you want to look more into it, you would have to
Mhm.
do it's already, I don't know what exact uh, brain soup they're using to keep the brain cells alive, but they're doing it.
Yeah, that would definitely be something interesting to look at.
that was off in a whole nother direction from where I was going.
Where were you
Oh,
going with it?
sorry, where were you going?
It's okay.
No, this is all really, really interesting stuff. I think it was last year I watched a show that was kind of really similar to that, where if somebody was, they figured out how to download your consciousness.
Right.
And it was basically they took a laser and burned you, burned your head off from the neck up, with the idea of it's taking your brain and it's downloading into this massive computer. So if you were somebody, say, dying of cancer and you knew you were going to die, you could be like, hey, take me and download me. And it was this virtual world that you were downloaded into, but you knew you were dead. Everybody there was dead. It was kind of like an afterlife. Um, but you had to, of course, in a capitalist society, had to pay for it, and depending on what you could pay was where what kind of program you were put into. But I mean, it was the same kind of idea. Like they put you into a virtual world after downloading your consciousness from your dying body.
Yeah,
It was interesting.
I think I've seen some clips of that before.
It was an interesting show. They haven't done another season of it yet, but
If you think about that, that's again back to my question: is it still you in that situation, or is it just a collective of your ideas and thoughts and past experiences? It's not really you at that point. It's just some collective consciousness that has been adapted to look like you and act like you in some way.
it's a copy of you,
Yeah,
Well,
but
but
you,
it's
does it
not
you talk,
you
continue
at
to
that
be
point.
you?
are you talking about the one where it has the brain cells, or the one that they have now where they
I
just you
I
take a
think
test?
in both cases you're still not answering the question of consciousness if it's still you or not.
Mhm.
Well,
Because
I
even if you're
definitely think.
transplanting some part of the cellular structure, yeah, it might have the same DNA because you have to like that would be the same as having a twin.
I was just
Mhm.
gonna say it'd be the same as having a clone.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
clone continuing to be you because it's taking all of your old data, putting it in a new body, but then once it's in a new body, then it's an entirely new individual that's going to have its own experiences. So it's obviously it's not going to be specifically you anymore. It's a whole new individual. It's the basic same idea.
And I was going to use twins as an example because that is a legitimate real world situation where two people who share almost identical DNA structures are grown up in very similar atmospheres, and they're going to come out with two very different, very distinct personalities in 9 cases out of 10.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But
I
then
see
you
the
run into
exact
the
opposite.
problem of proving what is environmental and what is genetic.
Yeah, nurture versus nature. Yeah, then
Yeah.
that brings up a whole nother thing, like
Hmm.
what's going on here? Where does that play? I've seen the opposite too, where like parents and children, they will have never known each other, and they end up going into the same exact profession or something, never knowing anything about each other.
Yeah, and there's always going to be oddities out there from time to time. Like, I'm not going to say that's not the case, but
Well, life
that's why I
itself
said
is
nine
an oddity.
times,
This
nine times
universe
out of 10.
itself is kind of is
Yeah, it really is. Considering, how hostile 99% of the universe is, and life happens to have developed on our one planet where we are, and we're
Well,
able and intelligent enough at this point now to figure out that, we've got self-awareness type thing. Okay. Richard says, oh, he's got a comment
oh
here.
God,
So you
Rich,
need to
I
design
ignored the chat. I'm sorry, Richard.
I've been watching the chat. Just you need to design a set of mental tests to see if someone in that program only believes that they are that person, or if they generally are that person.
That's a unique take on trying to figure out. I had to think about that for a minute. Hold on.
the brain function slowly slides down.
I'm sorry. When I read things, my brain shuts off until I finish reading it like 4 times. I can't think it through.
That's ADHD, baby. Trust me. It's all good. Sometimes, and like too, I'll do that where I'll read like a paragraph or a sentence, and I know I'm reading it, but my brain retains absolutely zero of any of the words, and I have to go back and read it again and be like, okay, did I really take it in that time?
Yeah. Richard, what kind of questions could you possibly pose to someone to determine if they are actually in such a in such an environment? Like, I don't even know where I would begin with that. Like, what would you ask them? Would you just strictly ask them, do you believe that you're in a program? Do you believe that you're in the Matrix, basically?
Hmm. I'd imagine there would have to be, in order to determine that as an outsider, a third party, you'd have to do intensive testings beforehand to have enough data to be able to judge that afterwards, yes, this is the same person.
Oh no, I think, yeah.
Like that's, I don't know, you're right. Like how.
That's a really tough one.
Mhm.
I was raking my brain for answers on that, and I couldn't think of any questions I would ask somebody that would give me a conclusion.
Right. Yeah. Um like I'd imagine there'd be some kind of like personality tests that they could do where they could ask, like, how when you do a personality test, well, and this is like just a basic example of like when you apply for a job or you apply for a course or you're doing like any type of mental health stuff, where they ask you a series of questions about in this particular scenario, would you do this or this type thing, to kind of figure out what kind of personality that you have, and kind of compare that maybe to afterwards, after this consciousness has been downloaded, just to kind of see, would it be given the same answers.
Yes, but
But
in a
then
sense,
you.
all life conceptually within the program that we're referring to would be an AI collectively,
Mhm.
all of them. So how would
So there
you,
wouldn't be individuals.
I mean, you kind of are, because you're a physical representation of that individual
Hmm.
inside of the program, but you yourself are not necessarily an individual. No, it's fucked up. Like, this is
So the
such a hard.
possibility. So there's an also, you're
You
saying
would never
basically that
know.
there's
You
there's
would
a
be in it.
possibility of you being blended in with someone else or other, groups of other people type thing. How do you? Okay,
if you
yeah, I see
all
what you
if
mean.
you're all part of the same program, if you're all in that program and you all are just functioning within that little world that's simulated, how
Mhm.
would you pose a question to another simulated object, being a simulated object yourself, that you are in a simulated world? And how would you even know that you were in a simulated world in that situation, or that you are
Mhm.
simulated as a person?
Right, right.
I've just gone too deep in the goddamn rabbit hole.
I know, right?
Yeah, sorry guys. You asked me about my what is it called? My worldview, and we all went
Or
off into this whole other thing. If you want to go back to the videos, I just
No, that's okay.
watch it.
Actually, we were gonna just about wrap it up because we usually only go about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. So, but thank you so much for joining us. That was a really great conversation. So you're definitely welcome back in the future if you like.
Yeah, maybe next time we can have more of a better, longer conversation. It was pretty long, anyways. But yeah,
But
I
thank you.
appreciate
Yeah,
y'all.
no, it was a really great conversation. So thank you for
Okay,
stopping in.
all right. Talk to you later.
Bye.